The Titanic, the untold story. The construction and launch of the Titanic was a monumental feat of engineering and design that captured the world's attention at the time. Here are some key details about this aspect of the Titanic's history. Background. The Titanic was built by the White Star Line, a British shipping company that was owned by J. Bruce Ismay and Lord Peary. The ship was designed to be the largest and most luxurious ocean liner of its time, with cutting-edge technology and amenities that would set it apart from other vessels. Construction. Work on the Titanic began in 1909 at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Northern Ireland. The construction process took more than 2 years and involved thousands of workers who worked around the clock to build the massive ship. The Titanic was built in sections, which were then joined together to create the complete vessel. The ship was divided into 16 compartments that could be sealed off from each other, making it theoretically unsinkable. The hull of the Titanic was made of steel and was reinforced with a double bottom and 15 bulkheads to enhance its strength. Design. The design of the Titanic was a masterpiece of engineering and innovation. The ship was over 882 feet long and 92 feet wide, and it weighed approximately 46,328 tons. It had a maximum speed of 23 knots and could carry up to 2,435 passengers and crew members. The Titanic was equipped with state-of-the-art amenities, including a swimming pool, a gymnasium, a Turkish bath, a squash court, and a luxurious dining room. First-class passengers enjoyed spacious suites and private balconies, while third-class passengers had access to communal spaces and basic accommodations. Launch. The Titanic was launched on May 31, 1911, in front of a crowd of thousands of spectators who gathered to witness the historic event. The launch was a complex process that involved the use of hydraulic rams and slipways to slide the ship down into the water. After the launch, the Titanic was towed to a fitting-out dock, where its interior was completed and its engines were installed. The ship underwent a series of sea trials to test its seaworthiness and speed before it was deemed ready for its maiden voyage. Overall, the construction and launch of the Titanic was an impressive achievement of human ingenuity and creativity. Despite the tragedy that would later befall the ship, the Titanic remains a testament to the ambition and vision of the people who designed and built it. The passengers and crew of the Titanic were a diverse group of individuals from all walks of life who were united in their desire to travel across the Atlantic Ocean on one of the most luxurious and advanced ships of its time. Here are some key details about this aspect of the Titanic's history. Passengers. The Titanic had a total of 2,435 passengers on board, including some of the wealthiest and most famous people of the day. First-class passengers included American businessman John Jacob Astor, British journalist William Thomas Stead, and American socialite Margaret Brown, also known as the Unsinkable Molly Brown. Second-class passengers included teachers, clerks, and small business owners, while third-class passengers were primarily immigrants and lower-class travelers seeking a better life in America. Many of the third-class passengers were from countries such as Ireland, England, and Scandinavia. Crew. The Titanic had a crew of approximately 885 individuals, including officers, sailors, engineers, and service staff. Many of the crew members had worked on other White Star Line ships and were experienced in their roles. The crew members were responsible for operating and maintaining the ship's systems and amenities, as well as ensuring the safety and comfort of the passengers. They worked long hours in challenging conditions, and many of them had to adapt to the new technologies and procedures of the Titanic, which was larger and more complex than any other ship they had worked on before. Social dynamics. The social dynamics of the Titanic were shaped by the class divide that existed on board the ship. First-class passengers enjoyed luxurious accommodations, fine dining, and exclusive access to certain parts of the ship, while third-class passengers were confined to cramped quarters and shared bathrooms. The crew members, many of whom came from working-class backgrounds, were responsible for serving and attending to the needs of the passengers, regardless of their social status. However, the rigid class system of the time meant that there were limitations on how much interaction could take place between the different groups on board the ship. Overall, the passengers and crew of the Titanic were a diverse and fascinating group of individuals who came together for a unique and unforgettable journey across the Atlantic. Despite the class divisions and social tensions that existed on the ship, the Titanic represented a remarkable achievement of human collaboration and cooperation, as people from different backgrounds and cultures worked together towards a common goal. The disaster. The Titanic, a British passenger liner, sank on April 15, 1912, after colliding with an iceberg during its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, to New York City. The disaster resulted in the loss of over 1,500 lives, making it one of the deadliest peacetime maritime disasters in history. The collision. On the night of April 14, 1912, the Titanic was cruising through a region of the North Atlantic known for icebergs. At 11:40 p.m., the ship struck an iceberg that caused significant damage to its hull, puncturing several of its watertight compartments and allowing water to flood into the ship. Evacuation. Initially, the crew believed that the ship was unsinkable and that the damage was not severe enough to threaten the ship's stability. However, as the situation deteriorated, they began to evacuate the passengers, starting with women and children first. The evacuation process was hampered by several factors, including the lack of sufficient lifeboats on board the ship, the inability to launch the lifeboats due to the steep angle of the sinking ship, and the confusion and panic among the passengers and crew. Rescue. The Titanic sent out distress signals to nearby ships, including the RMS Carpathia, which arrived at the scene around 2 hours after the Titanic sank. The Carpathia rescued around 710 survivors from the lifeboats. Casualties. The sinking of the Titanic resulted in the loss of over 1,500 lives, including passengers and crew members from all classes and backgrounds. Many of the victims died from hypothermia or drowning, as the water temperature in the North Atlantic was near freezing. Causes. The sinking of the Titanic was caused by a combination of factors, including the high speed of the ship in iceberg-infested waters, the lack of sufficient lifeboats on board the ship, and the failure of the crew to respond quickly and effectively to the emergency. The sinking of the Titanic on April 15, 1912, had a lasting impact on the world, both in terms of its immediate aftermath and its long-term effects on history and popular culture. Here are some of the ways that the legacy of the Titanic continues to resonate today. Safety reforms in the shipping industry. The sinking of the Titanic led to a series of safety reforms in the shipping industry, aimed at preventing similar disasters in the future. These reforms included the requirement for ships to carry enough lifeboats for all passengers and crew members, the establishment of an international system of wireless communication, and the implementation of more stringent safety regulations for all ships. Thanks for watching our channel. Do like, share, and subscribe, and press the bell icon for more interesting upcoming videos.